Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Office of Homeland Security and Office of Emergency Management's Creating Resilient Communities webinar series. My name is Taylor Brown, and I am going to serve as your moderator for this webinar. We are excited to have you all with us this evening as we kick off our first webinar series. We have a jam-packed agenda for you this evening with lots of information to share. So I am going to go ahead and get started. First thing that I would like to do is allow our awesome director, Ronnie Gill, to provide some remarks. Director Gill, will you please unmute yourself and step into the virtual platform for remarks?
Thank you, Taylor, and good evening, everyone. As stated, I'm Ronnie Gill, Director of the Office of Homeland Security and the Office of Emergency Management for the county. I would like to take a moment to welcome all of you to our Creating Resilient Communities webinar series. And I thank you for joining us for this event. You know, we have had countless webinars over the past year, but this is our first one that this agency is hosting, as we are so excited to kick off the series. Our motto, Creating Resilient Communities, speaks to the work that we as an agency strive to do. We want to ensure that our community is strong and can face the toughest, most unexpected challenges, much like we have all done battling this pandemic. Our staff has worked extremely hard over the past several weeks, planning this effort and putting together some really helpful tools and resources that I know you will find extremely beneficial to you and your families. We hope that you enjoy this webinar this evening, and I look forward to your participation throughout the entire series. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Director Gill. So before we get started with our presentations, just want to go over a few general housekeeping rules. One, we're going to ask everyone to stay muted unless you are speaking, just out of respect for our presenters and the information that they want to share with you this evening. We also ask that you drop your questions in the chat. We're trying to make this as interactive of a webinar as we possibly can. So don't wait till the end. If you have a question, drop it in the chat and we will address all questions and answers at the end of the presentations. I think that's all I have. Oh, also Zoom allows us to be interactive. So if you notice on the bottom of your toolbar, if you hear something you like, you want to clap, give us some applause, give us a thumbs up. We like to see that. All right, so without further ado, our first presentation this evening is going to come from Ms. Jennifer Hawkins from our Prince George's County Office of Community Relations. Ms. Hawkins serves as the program manager for 311 On the Go, and she's going to discuss some of the benefits of her program this evening. Ms. Hawkins, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Taylor. And I'd also like to thank the Office of Emergency Management for inviting me to share information with you this evening. My name is Jennifer Hawkins. I am the program manager for the fairly new, innovative, and award-winning 311 On the Go program. Next slide. The 311 On the Go program is a division of the Office of Community Relations, where Yanisha Davis is the director. So this program is an initiative by our county executive who believes strongly that the citizens of this great county deserve excellent customer service. So in order to deliver on that, the 311 On the Go program is designed to help deliver on improved customer service. And in order to do that, we've incorporated 4 components into this program. The first component is citizen engagement. We will be out in the community, out where you live, out where you work, out where you shop, out where you're entertained. We will be out in the community, attending events, and being right where you are. One of the key goals of the program is to increase county government visibility out in the community. And so we will be out and about, and you will see us. Please don't hesitate to come and say hello. Ask your questions if you have them, anything county government related, or if you have a need for county government services, we can actually submit a service request for you right there on the spot. The next component is agency engagement. Now, the 311 on the go team will not be able to do this Herculean task alone. So we will collaborate with county government agencies to ensure that we are addressing concerns that are brought to our attention, as well as assist with getting them resolved. The next component is county administration initiatives. And basically what that means is that for any county executive initiative, the 311 on the go team will be available to provide support if there's a need for citizen engagement. And last, but definitely not least, is accountability. We will use a data-driven approach to ensure that we are delivering on the customer service that you deserve. So all parties involved in the process of addressing concerns will be held to a higher standard to ensure that we are delivering on the services that you expect from county government. Next slide. So what you see on the screen is an example of some of the work that we've accomplished out in the community. What you see is a senior citizen's home in which there was a dead tree that this senior was fearful that would fall on her home. We encountered this senior during a community walk in which she shared with us her fear of this tree falling. So the Office of Community Relations, we partnered with our nonprofit organizations to try and procure the services to get that tree removed. And we were successful in accomplishing that. And so now this senior citizen rests peacefully at night, knowing that this tree will not fall on her roof. Next slide. So on this particular street, again, this is another community walk that we conducted in the northern part of the county, where this community wanted this tour bus moved off of their street. Believe it or not, this tour bus was parked for over 10 years on this street, and the community wanted it gone. So the 311 on the go team partnered with various agencies, the Revenue Authority, the Department of Public Works and Transportation, the Police Department, the Office of Law, to ultimately get this tour bus moved off of the street. And now the citizen now can reclaim their street once again. Next slide. What you see on the screen here is an example of 311 out in the community. This was a vaccination clinic at a high school where the county was vaccinating students. So the 311 on the go team, we were out and we had fun with the students. They were able to win some prizes, and we also shared information with their parents. Next slide. This is an example of the 311 on the go team participating in the county executive's Growing Green with Pride initiative. We were out in the northern, central, and southern parts of the county on May 1st, helping various communities clean up their community through this initiative. Next slide. So one of the key activities that we do with the 311 on the go program is that we conduct community walks. And this is an example of a community walk in the southern region of the county. As you can see, the county executive walked along with us, and also our new police chief Malik Aziz. So we engaged the citizens of this community and took a tour of their community, and we were able to see some of the concerns firsthand that the citizens of this community experienced. Next slide. So if any of you are interested in the 311 on-the-go team coming out to your community to conduct a community walk, feel free to submit your request to the 311 on-the-go email address that you see on your screen. Next slide. And before I leave you, I do want to close with some really exciting news. Our county executive feels strongly that county government should be using new and innovative technology, and she has delivered on that. So this summer, the 311 call center is launching a new PGC 311 system. And as you can see, it will be easier than ever. This system is easier to navigate. It will have state-of-the-art features where information will be at your fingertips, and navigating through this system will be much more convenient. So you will hear more information about the launch of this new system. We will be out in the community conducting demos and also conducting virtual demos. So listen out, you'll hear more information about the new PGC 311 system. Next slide. So I'm leaving you with my contact information. If anyone is interested in reaching out to me regarding the 311 on-the-go program, feel free to send me an email or use the traditional route of giving me a call. I want to thank you, and please enjoy the rest of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was awesome, a wealth of information. If you don't mind, just copy and pasting your information in the chat for residents to easily access at their leisure, excuse me.
Certainly.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna move right along. We are now at the special presentation for the evening, our preparedness presentation. This evening we have Mr. Rashid Plummer from the Office of Emergency Management, who currently serves as our outreach coordinator. Mr. Plummer's previous experience includes working with the Department of Social Services as their emergency risk facilities manager, and also as the disaster response coordinator for the American Red Cross of the National Capital Region, where he was responsible for local disaster response efforts and providing assistance to citizens displaced by disasters within both Prince George's and Montgomery counties. In his current position here within the Office of Emergency Management, Mr. Plummer works with citizens and organizations to provide preparedness information and trainings alike. Mr. Plummer, if you would begin the process of unmuting yourself and stepping into the virtual platform.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for attending this evening. I definitely hope that we have some information that you all will find beneficial in regards to assisting you in being better prepared during a potential time of a disaster. Why prepare? As we know, although no one wants to think that anything bad can occur or happen, it is better to be prepared for any type of an emergency. And an emergency, by definition, does not leave us time to prepare. So preparing helps to keep children and family members calm by having a comprehensive family plan that everyone understands. An emergency can easily escalate to a disaster if your family is not prepared ahead of time. There are various types of disasters that affect our actual county. We have fires, whether or not they're single family fires or apartment fires. We have flooding, potential tornadoes, potential hurricanes, man-made attacks and or disasters, earthquakes, including school incidents, as well as medical emergencies. Any of these events can happen and have happened in our region. These types of events happen with little to no warning, so it is important to be prepared for whatever type of threat you may encounter. On May 26th, a straight line wind passed through parts of Prince George's County. The Fort Washington area was hit particularly hard, and the result was 3 homes that were left uninhabitable. These homeowners were left without shelter and minimal access to parts of their homes. Tornadoes happen in our county as well. A tornado warning is issued when a tornado has been spotted or indicated by weather radar. This means that a tornado is either occurring or may be expected soon. Everyone should immediately seek refuge in the safest location possible, such as a basement or interior room away from windows. When there is a threat of a tornado, you will not have the time to gather supplies that you need should your home sustain damage. This is one reason it is so important to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Being prepared is not something that would necessarily have to break the bank to be accomplished, but it is necessarily that we do our due diligence to be prepared, whether it be at home, our cars, or even at our places of employment. No one plans to fail, but we can fail to plan, which can lead to us not being prepared when it is needed most. When we think of preparedness kits, we generally envision an expensive kit that is purchased from Walmart or something of that matter, when in actuality, that is just an option. Individually, we know of the personal items that either we or our loved ones would need in order to survive during a disaster, be it medication, eyeglasses, baby formula, important documents, cash, etc. Each kit should have all of the basic items such as food, water, as well as important documents. Many people believe that prepping on a shoestring budget is impossible. They have the misconception that preparedness requires a lot of money, when in actuality, we have the bulk of the items needed to begin our kits in our cabinets at home. As you can see from the picture above, we all have something, at least one of these items listed, whether it be trail mix, peanut butter, beef jerky, the canned fruit, and or canned tuna. Those items can actually be started to build your emergency kit. Some other items to consider would include a whistle to signal for help, local maps in case GPS is not working and the internet is down, and or cell phone chargers. You would also want to ensure that your kit contains items that you and your family would need to get through the emergency mentally well, as well as physically well. Example, you could have a deck of cards, coloring books, word find searches, or board games to help take your mind as well as your children's minds off of the disaster at hand. And remember to consider packing of seasonal clothing. Your kit may only have summer clothes because that is when you packed your kit, but you need to remember that an emergency can happen in all weather, so pre-pack some items for all seasons. As you can see, you may not need a large container to house your immediate emergency supplies. But if you are just housing items for one person, you can see how a simple backpack is large enough to store enough supplies to sustain you for 3 to 5 days. As your family grows, you'll need a larger kit as you want to ensure that you have enough supplies to sustain all that are affected in your household. I also wanted to actually show just an emergency kit that we generally take out when we do our preparedness trainings, just to show that it can easily be done just for one individual with just one small book bag. If you have these basic first aid supplies listed above, you and your family are better prepared to help your loved ones when they are hurt. You may consider taking a first aid class as well, but simply having a good first aid kit can help stop bleeding, prevent infection, as well as assist to prevent decontamination and assist in decontamination. Just as important as putting your supplies together is maintaining them so they are safe to use when needed. Here are some tips to keep your supplies ready and in good condition. 1, be sure to change stored food and water supplies every 6 months, as well as be sure to write the date on your stored items. Rethink your needs every year and update your kit as your family's needs change. Keep items in airtight plastic bags and put your entire disaster supplies kit in 1 or 2 easy to carry containers, such as an unused trash can, possibly a camping backpack, or even a duffel bag. In our response webinar, we will go in greater detail about the importance of a family emergency plan and how to create one. But we also want you to also take into account what happens if you are apart during an emergency. Who is your out of town contact person? What about your family members that are elderly or have special needs. These are things to always consider when planning for a disaster or planning to respond for one. All family members should also carry in case of emergency cards, better known as ICE. These cards actually contain information that would have the person's name, their emergency contact name that would be reached out to, as well as telephone numbers. Also, it would list any medical conditions that the individual may have, any allergies that they succumb to, as well as any medication that they need to take, as well as their date of birth. ICE information should also include who the out-of-town contact is, as well as their rendezvous information. You can also store your ICE information or your in case of emergency information on your cell phones. It is also important to keep copies of all of your vital documents, birth certificates, passports, social security cards, copies of all of your credit card information with phone numbers, including insurance documents. A family emergency document binder is a great way to keep everything together in one place. Don't let the name binder limit your imagination when it comes to the possible containers you may want to use to store these documents. We recommend the following criteria for your emergency documents container as you consider what will best meet the needs of your family. To put it into perspective, I recently responded to a 2-alarm apartment fire that displaced 20 families in the Maple Ridge apartment complex in Landover, Maryland. And over 50% of those displaced had to vacate their homes without any personal documents. You may consider utilizing containers that may be sturdy and last for a number of years, but you also may want to invest in a firebox, which could actually sustain temperatures up to 1100 degrees. You may want to have versatile items as a jump drive or even external hard drives to store your information on. Or you can even utilize a secured cloud storage. What I have listed below are some of the resources that can be utilized in the creation of your emergency preparedness kit. You can go to www.ready.gov, which is managed by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, better known as FEMA. You can go to www.mema.maryland.gov, which is managed by the Maryland Emergency Management Agency. Or you can go to oemmypgc.us, which is managed by the Prince George's County Office of Emergency Management, as well as the American Red Cross has a wealth of information listed on www.redcross.org. If there are any questions that you all have that are listed in the chat, we would love to be able to address them at this moment.
We do have a few questions in the chat, Mr. Plummer. So I will ask a couple and you can provide some responses. How's that sound?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is a really good one because we talk about this a lot in the office. So how much money should you have during an emergency?
Well, there isn't a defined amount, but you definitely would like to have at least $100 in minimum in cash, if possible, readily at your fingertips, only because if the electricity is down as well as the internet, you would not be able to go to an ATM. You would not most likely be able to go to a bank to take any money directly out. I know that a lot of people have Cash App and everything else of that nature, but you may not be able to access those funds at that present time.
I think that's a great point because in the world we live in, everything you can do with your cell phones, right? So I know I don't even have to walk out of the house with the bank card and I can go spend all the money that I have in the bank. So it's definitely important to keep that cash handy. All right, another question, another really great question that we have. Is there a template or information session I can go to that will show me how to make a preparedness plan?
There is, you can actually go to www.ready.gov and they actually have a template on building your emergency kit as well as your emergency preparedness plan, whether or not it is an evacuation plan and or communication plan for you and your family following a disaster.
Awesome. And I do believe that we will be hosting, the Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management will be hosting a preparedness fair in September. So stay tuned for those details.
Yes, ma'am. We're looking to have a preparedness fair on September 18th. If you are available, please come by. We're planning to host the event at the First Baptist Church of Glenarden off of Walker Mill Drive. It will be a great event. It will be a lot of information shared, as well as I think it would be a great event for all parties of all ages, kids as well as adults.
All right, looking forward to that. I have one other question that was provided. Can OEM provide in-person preparedness training to my local church or organization?
Yes, ma'am. You can reach me at actually RD Plummer. That is RDPLUMMER at co.pg.md.us. And send the request either directly to myself, or you can send it just to the Office of Emergency Management, and we will definitely have a staff person reach out to you all and coordinate a date that would actually be accommodating to you.
Great, and I put your email in the chat for residents to take advantage of that.
Thank
I'm going to ask one more question, and then I have a couple of points or comments that we got from some residents here this evening. So how often should you practice your family emergency plan?
That's a good question. Now, the rule of thumb that I generally utilize is think about how often do you practice your fire drill at work, or whether or not you're at school. It's generally done at least 2 times a year at minimum, because you want to ensure that all parties involved have knowledge of what their role is, where they are to evacuate to, what is the best route to evacuate the home without gaining injury, and or the business without gaining injury. So the mandate is at least 2 times a year. If you have small children, you can never do it enough, only because kids forget things just as quickly as you tell it to them. So it's advantageous to practice as much as you possibly can.
I agree. All right, and the couple of points from some residents. So Ms. Tracy, thank you for letting us know. She says that Amazon has affordable fire and waterproof binders. So everyone check out Amazon for those items. And then Mr. Attic also wanted us to make sure, to our point about how much money should you keep on you in an emergency, to make sure that you have change as well. Sometimes machines don't take bills, so have some loose change as well as that cash on hand.
I agree. Thank you again, Mike. That was definitely a good notation.
Yes, great points from our residents. Thank you all so much. All right, so without further ado, we are going to move forward with our agenda. I believe, next slide, please, Mr. Plummer. All right, the end of one chapter is just the beginning of another. So if Mr. Asan Bahadur would please unmute himself and step into the virtual platform to give us a couple of key points that's upcoming for his webinar in August.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asan Bahadur. I'm an emergency planner with the Office of Homeland Security, Office of Emergency Management. Next month, Tuesday, August the 17th, I will present second webinar on hazard mitigation. My focus is to provide information and methods on how to be able to minimize the impact of hazard on our local community. I'm looking forward to talk about hazard mitigation because you could be able to bounce back and save yourself and your loved ones. How? I will tell you on Tuesday, August the 17th. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. Bahadur. So as he stated, our next webinar in the Creating Resilient Communities webinar series is scheduled for Tuesday, August the 17th at 7 p.m. Same spot, same time, same place. You can register using the same link. I will drop it in the chat. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you all for your participation this evening. And we do have one last small favor to ask of you. We did our best to keep our webinar under 30 minutes so that you all can get to your families and your dinner. If you all could please complete our survey. Your feedback is so important to us, and we want to be able to put together webinars and programs like this for you in the future. So it's extremely helpful for us as an agency to know what we did well tonight and what we might not have done so well. So please complete our survey. The link is in the chat. And thank you all for joining us this evening. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Take care.